Welcome again to another episode of Schmucker Productions podcast. Tonight's guest is Gene Pierro. He is the owner of Hamilton Radio and Iron Horse Films out of New Jersey. Welcome to the show, Gene. I'm glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you, Samuel. I appreciate that as well. I love doing what you're doing, interviewing people. And when I get to be interviewed, I kind of like take that position to be really an interesting position because I've been put in it many times, but a lot of things are changing as we speak with funding for movies and promotions and voiceovers and things like that. And we kind of do all of that. We've kind of like put the full promotions like right underneath us, working with several film companies. I believe we were going to work with Lionsgate at one point. I don't know if that fell through, but I'm just going to say that the contact we had wasn't very good. I probably will be working with Lionsgate again very soon. But I am working with other major film companies and trying to get funding for projects. I'm currently working with 3 or 4 different projects. On the radio side of it, we always are running HamiltonRadio.net, which has been a 30-year radio station, 34 years radio station I've been running for that amount of time. And how Iron Horse Films and Hamilton Radio got started was Hamilton Radio was already started, had established audiences in the early 90s, about 50,000, over 1 million people listening. And then, of course, it grew from there. We're on every platform and every turn. And what happened was Iron Horse Films was doing a local movie in our area. And I believe my daughter was only, I think, 12 years old. And what happened was she was the kind of person that was the main character in the movie. So as a film guy on my side and a media guy, I ran a local, I would say a local cable company. I used to do videos for sporting events. I ran the mixer and I was producer for a little bit and also did some camera work. So I have the ability to do that. So I said to Irish Films, I said, why don't we merge and try to create something that others wish they had, which is somebody in your pocket that will work with you for promotion. And that's what we did. We literally done it. And we've been together for over 12 years. A little bit more probably in between. But the scenario is we have our own studio. We bring people in from all over the place, whether they're legends or idols or people that we know, local musicians, whatever, local businesses, whatever we need, we get. And it just makes sense to have a trusting somebody in the media that you can just rely on. You don't have to worry about, oh my God, if I give this project to somebody, whether you sign an NDA or not, it's good to sign an NDA. But a lot of people won't. And that's kind of what I always look at. It's like, it's your content. I'm trying to take your content and build on your content to what you want and how you want it. And if we can achieve that together, that's what a business does.
That's true. I've come across that a couple times with me doing some films. I've collaborated with some businesses and some vendors and other people who have something that I needed for the film and reached out, and eventually they was like, yeah, we'll help. We'll definitely help. And it helps to network.
Oh, the networking part is always there. It's the people that are either the fear, they're afraid to get involved with somebody because they've been broken so many times by so many other people.
Yeah.
Or it's egos. Egos get in the way of everything. And I see that the most problem for a lot of the movie actors and some of the people. They get such a big ego. They're up here, and then all of a sudden they're down here, and now nobody wants them.
That's
And
true.
it's very sad. It's very sad to see somebody that was really, really good at what they did, and now nobody cares about them. It's called fleeting fame. It appears, if you rely on fame to get you where you're going to go, you're not going to go anywhere, because it's just a self-eating monster. But if you rely on your self-ability and all the other things you can do, makes a big difference. I'm a financial coach, okay, but I'm also a motivational speaker. And before COVID hit, I was going to be on a motivational circuit with many, many guys. And because of that, I always try to motivate people around me, including you, Samuel, about what you're looking to do, and look deep as you can into what your project is. Meet the right people to get that project out there, and then create what you want to create from it. If you want distribution, if you want production, if you want this, why go here, go there, and go there when you can go in one spot and everybody can do it from one spot?
That's kind of what
this makes sense.
Oh yeah. That's kind of like what I've been doing with trying to grow my brand is, I do the films, I do photography at wrestling shows and concerts, video, and along the way that helped me find out that, people love to get, interviewed and be able to get themselves out there for others to see what they have to offer. And that's what brought me to doing a podcast. So now, I'm like you, I've got my hands in multitudes of pies, and I'm still learning along the way. And, like we talked before we got on camera, it's rough. And like I said, I'm a rookie. I'm straight amateur. I'm learning. I've made hundreds of contacts that I can rely on to ask advice and get guidance. And these are people that, I've watched their careers and I've watched them do what they do, and I trust them, and I haven't been led astray from anybody that I reach out to ask stuff. So yeah, it's being able to have your hands and do everything in multiple areas is nice, and it helps. It's like you were saying, when you can reach out to someone else that can take you from one level and put you on another level, is where that's where I'm at. And that's nice to be able to hear that you offer that, and you're looking to help bring people more into everyone's viewing capacity and hearing capacity. Is that?
Well, the thing is with the movie things and even radio, we try to do what everybody else doesn't do. This is what I explained about years ago when I was doing it was an online talk for I talked in front of 300 people about a company called Stores Online. And just to give you an example of what we were talking about, and this pertains to what we're doing today. If a person has a website, what's the best way for you to get to that target audience with that website? Depends on what you're selling, right? But as of what you're selling, also you want to be high in the rankings of Google, which Google changes all the time. That means movies, TV, radio, I don't care what it is. If you don't change your tags, if you don't change anything about your website, at least change your concept of how you do your website. Change the name. Do different things that are going to give people the ability not only to find you, but they're going to run into you. They're going to say, "Oh my God, yeah, this is really cool. I didn't know I could do this." Yes, you can do it. There's people out there that don't understand website presence, even today, still has a lot to do with how people find you. And people usually find you through Google. They find you through other places too, like Facebook, YouTube, and other places. A lot of people are like, "I'm not going there. I'm not taking my business there." I'm thinking, okay, that's fine. You don't have to. But don't complain that you're not being seen. Don't complain that you're not being ranked. Don't complain that there's things out there that you're not getting involved in because, number one, you're afraid to, or number two, you're not just afraid to, you don't want to. You're holding yourself back. And I call this people hurdles, because they're the hurdles that people put in front of themselves when there isn't any. I mean, you talk about funding, we got it. Hurdles gone. You talk about how long a movie can be, we don't worry about that. We can do streaming now. We couldn't do streaming years ago. You see? So everything changes. So there's no hurdles in front of you. So I always say to people, I said, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for a ship to come in with gold? Are you waiting for that golden rainbow? Are you waiting for another sunset? Are you waiting for your grandkids to get older? And I'll just make it quick with this example. A friend of mine, and him and I were doing a show together. And he did a mystery theater, radio mystery theater that he said he did for his grandkids. And I said, this is really well done and good. Why don't you bring it to us? And he says, what do you mean? I says, well, go out and find out if you get sponsors. Bring the show to us. And he says, I got 2 more episodes to do, and I'll do it. He did. And now he sees that he's getting a lot more people interested in what he was doing. Now, that's just a mystery theater, but that's just an idea that you don't give up on what used to be. Because people like new things. However, we like to reminisce about the old things that in the past that we never heard. My daughters never heard of mystery theater. They didn't know what it was about. I have one 31 years old and one 28, but they love it. They said, Dad, it's like us listening to radio visually and we're imagining everything. I said, yeah, that's what it is. And people like to go into that space. So there's a lot of things that people are afraid of, and they need to overcome their hurdles. And one of them hurdles always is, and it's always going to be, finances. And I tell everybody, find a way. Find a way. Try it for 3 months. Try it for 6 months. If it doesn't work, you tried it. Now you go back to what you wanted to do. But if it becomes a success and starts making you a lot of money or makes you a millionaire, don't say I didn't tell you so. That's all. Take a chance. It's like Monopoly. You go around the board. You take a chance. If you don't take the chance, you don't know what you're going to get.
That's true. Yeah, I've been down that funding road enough times that I found a way. I found a way that it works a little bit, but like I said, I'm, with some of us independent artists who are new, no one knows who you are, and you only have like a handful of people. They're like, oh yeah, we'll donate to the cause, we'll donate, we'll contribute, and you get to where you need to be. But then when you sit and think of that is wonderful to have that help and that support. But on the other flip side of it, you only got the people who know you to help you out. You didn't see, no one else knows who you are, and they're sitting there going, yeah, I'll wait till it comes out, check it out. Or, oh, who is this dude? What was he doing? Does he have permission to do that? I get that so many times because I've done 2 tribute films, like fan films. And I researched, I contacted studios, I contacted writers, directors, producers, and I got everything I needed. And I did my Jason in Indianapolis. Then I turned around and did the same thing with Stephen King's It. I reached out to the people to get the permissions and find out what I can and cannot do on intellectual properties, and got what I needed. Georgie's Return is coming out in October. And people's like, hey man, I'd love to help contribute or be a part of this, but I don't want to have my name synonymous with something that's going to have a copyright issue. And I'm like, I wouldn't be putting this out on social media and out on the internet without doing the proper research to know that this intellectual property that I'm playing with is protected and has no harm for me. And they're like, did you get permission? Did you get a license? I'm like, I don't need to, because I'm not touching their intellectual. So I get that all the time, and that's the big downfall. And like you said, with funding, there's thousands, if not more, out there that will just give money and let you make a film. They just want to see what you've done. Here's the script. Okay, yeah, we'll give you 5,000. Just let us see it before you release it to see what you guys did. I ran across that. I actually had a guy who was getting ready to give me $5,000 for my Jason movie. And it made me very concerned with what he kept writing to me on texting me back and forth now and then. Every so often he'd be like, "Hey, did you film anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, we got 4 scenes shot in the last week. Can you send those to me? I'd like to see those." And I'm like, "They're not edited, brother. They're in the folder waiting to go to the editing team and get chopped and cut and pieced together. They're raw foot." "Well, I just want to see that you filmed some things." I'm like, "We filmed." He's like, "Well, I donated 5,000 and I was reading this, or I'm going to be donating 5,000 come." It was like 2 weeks away. And in them 2 weeks, he wrote me like 30 messages asking to see content, see my cast and crew list, see my list where I was going to be filming at. He wanted the full script, and I was fine with the script. I sent him the script. He's like, "Oh, that's dynamic. That looks good." He goes, "I just need to see some footage that you've shot." And I'm like, "Well, first and foremost, you are not a member of Schmucker Productions. You're not cast and crew. You have no reason to see anything that I have shot that we may not use, and I have to go back and reshoot it." And you're going to be like, "Oh, you're going to give your 2 cents worth." I did that once before on that movie, and I said, I'm not going to send footage to somebody and have them critique the footage because they didn't like the way I shot this or they didn't like the way I shot that. I like what I see. I'm keeping it. I wrote it. It's my film. I'm going to keep it.
Yep.
If you're giving me $10, $15, $20,000 to make a movie, then I'll definitely be like, "Yeah, okay, look, this is what we shot today. What do you think of this?" Because now I have the money. I can go back and say, "Hey, guys, I need to reshoot one small piece of this scene because, our investors think I should elevate it. There should be more fights. There should be more blood. There should be a better screen." So he was like, "Well, if I can't see your content and I can't see what I'm going to be putting my money into, then I'm going to have to pull out." And he ended up pulling like 3 of my actors with him, which now we're not friends. We don't communicate at all no more. And then he ended up getting he's under FBI investigation now for fraud and manipulation and a bunch of online dumb stuff.
Right.
And so that makes me, that put me on that thing, like you said earlier. People get burnt, or they get to a certain level at the finish line, and then they get burnt again. And that's, I don't know who to trust, because every time I talk with individuals such as yourself that's been in the industry and worked around it, they always be like, "Well, try this company. They helped us out at one time." And then when you get over there, we don't fit their protocols or their direction they're looking for, or our content isn't what they're seeking. So that's where a lot of us independent filmmakers, especially here, I know like 30 of us here in Indiana, and we all are doing what I'm doing, just friendly donations, contributions. And it's hard.
No, it is hard. Again, you're content creators. You're digital content creators, and you need a platform to put that out on. Now, I'm not saying just radio. I mean, YouTube and all, but there's a lot of content, as you know, and people keep creating it. But there's also got to be an agreement with the film company. There's got to be agreement with the funders, the investors, and there's got to be an agreement with the distribution. There's 3 different things there. There are 3, like a triad you have to go through. And usually what happens is the person that goes in between you, the middle guy, say me, I try to make sure that, number one, you meet the criteria with them so you're not wasting your time. And if I like the project, generally, they'll like the project, generally. But that I can't say for every project. That could be, like if it's a wrestling movie, or if it's a Christmas movie or something. There's all different people that like different things at different times. So there's no set. It's going to work. There's nothing like that. There's no set thing it's going to work. No guarantees. It's like that in life with anything. You're just, again, taking a chance to see if the availability of what you're doing shines some light on what they're looking for. And if it isn't, they'll tell you right away. They're not going to waste your time. They'll tell you right away, listen, this isn't what we're looking for right now. But, if you have any new content, you'd like to bring it back, we'll look at it. I hear that all the time. But it doesn't mean that the content is no good for somebody else. I have a friend that's creating another great project. I don't go into the project at all, but it's going to be huge. He's got his own production company in California. He has tons of investors. He invests in other films, but he's so busy that if I was able to take a project to him, I know what he would say. I'm too busy. I got too much going on right now. I'm doing 3 or 4 films right now. I'm getting done. So when they're done, maybe we'll have time. But right now, I like the concept. I like what you're doing, but there's no guarantees. And that's hard for somebody to swallow, especially in the movie industry, because everything is in sync with one another. Music is in sync. And now we've got AI. Well, let's throw AI in everything, because AI, does some editing. AI does some movie content. It did some filler. Now here's the thing. I was told, this is between you and I, with one of the films that was on, they used AI content because they didn't have a big enough crowd scene. So they filled it up with the green screen. They had the green screen on location, and they just filled that in with more content to make it look like it was more people there. I'm not going to say what screen it is. I'm not going to say what film it is, but that's what they're doing now. If people aren't showing up to their casting calls, major films, that's what they're doing to make it look like there's more people there, like a gladiator stadium, and they want it filled to proportion. That's what they use green screen now for.
Well, and you remember back in the day,
we have green screen. We do that live sometimes. Go ahead.
You remember back in the day when they made Gladiator and they had the arena back before AI was around, it was CGI. They would go in and do it on the computer.
It was still camera generated. Yeah, I understand that, but not to this extent.
No.
Now you feed a little information in, and it knows exactly how many people you want. It puts everybody in the seat and just does it. You don't even have to, fool around with it too much.
Yeah. You don't have to sit there for days and weeks on end making the program on the CGI stuff. You just 25 words. You can have a 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute, all the way up to 15-minute scene that they made for you. I've used a couple when I've done my some of my covers and some of my artwork that I've used in some of my stuff. I use AI to generate an image for stuff. Because, like with Georgie, I generated an image for a photograph because I could not arrange 7 different children in certain age ranges all together at one time.
Mm-hmm.
That I was not going to, simply for a photograph, that I was going to use. I had a whole bunch of children in this new movie, and they were all live in person on set. But then I had to do a flashback going way back in the day, and I'm like, okay, I gotta find 7 children. I gotta find 7 different outfits that suit the 1950s and put them in it, find a location and shoot that photo. I said, that's too much time and hassle. A lot of parents are gonna just be like, oh, it's just gonna be a photo in a film. Nah, I'm okay. Because we don't, like I said, we don't have funding, so everybody was voluntary. So my friend was like, I go check out Chat GPT, tell it what you want and watch what happens. So I said, okay, I put it in there, and he said, be descriptive. Tell it exactly what you want, or you're going to be doing it over and over and over. So I had a nice long paragraph, and I told it what to do. It generated the image, and it was exactly what I wanted. I'm like, wow, okay. And people are complaining, which I don't understand. We use CGI in the past. Why are you complaining? Because we're using new technology today.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in the music community, because I also am a musician as well, and I use a lot of my music for backgrounds, movies and TV shows and streaming and stuff like that. It's available. Anybody wants it, they can do it. I just asked for the courtesy or pay me for it. That's fine. But I don't have distribution rights. You know why? Because it's not worth it anymore. Distribution rights only come from people that were done in the 70s and 80s, 90s. Today, everything's copied. The music is copied, the beat's copied, the sound is copied, the distribution rights. You don't have distribution rights. You really don't. So it's not worth it fighting for it. It's not worth having it. And it's just, they say that it is, but it isn't. It's just a lot of hassle for just a few extra pennies. And that's what it comes down to. But if you're in a big major movie production, you better believe that you want to get it, registered. You want to get that done. That's important. But if you're just doing penny ante stuff, it really doesn't matter. You just want your music heard. You want people to understand it, like it, and enjoy it. I don't know what kind of music you like, but
I like it.
Yeah, well, see, that's me. I like everything from the 60s to all the way up to the 80s and 90s. But that means all the movies and all the TV shows and all the wrestling. I just did a wrestling video, a wrestling song for Hulk Hogan.
Really?
Yeah, I did one for him. But I wrote a lot of stuff in it, and I had AI add a lot of stuff to it too. I'm not going to sit here and take the credit for it because I didn't do the whole thing, but I did a lot of it. And what I told AI to do, they did, and it came out really well. And I'm really happy with it. But again, I don't know if somebody's going to do a Hulk Hogan tribute in the future. I don't know if they're going to like, the song for it. They may not. But if anybody's out there watching this and they want it, they could want to hear it. I'll send it to them. Just let me know. I'll send them 30 seconds of it, see what they think. But anything like that works that way. To show people what you're good at and how you do it is just do it. That's the only way they're going to know you're good at it. I mean, I interviewed in the past on my station, on my show. I interviewed George the Animal Steel. Nobody ever interviewed him. Jimmy Boogie Woogie Valiant.
Yes, I've interviewed him.
Stone Cold. He was hard to get, Stone Cold.
Oh, I bet.
Brutus Barber Beefcake, Terry Runnels, and just a lot of other people. William Shatner and tons of other people. But that was through what I call not just me, but third parties. Every time I would have a different host on, I would be part of the show. So in light, I would be able to interview them as well.
That's phenomenal.
That's why I always try to incorporate other people to get involved with me, because that helps them forward their career through helping my career. And then we help each other. And that's what we're doing tonight, you and I, Samuel. We're doing it together to make you get noticed about it and make me get noticed about it talking to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm always trying to do, is try to collaborate, network, and try to elevate myself with my film, or with everything I'm doing, because I just want to be able to, I like the movies, and I know lots of other people like the movies, and I have an original I'm working on now for next year, but I wanted to dabble in something that was already kind of established, like Jason and Georgie and it, and tell another story from it, and keep it alive. It's got so much new stuff coming out that they touch on things with Pennywise and they touch on things with Derry, but nobody ever tells us any more stuff about Georgie, and he was a pivotal part of the movie. So I was like, let's bring him back. And then with Jason, the franchise has so many films that some of them were just hard to believe that they actually got into the franchise. And then, you had tons of side films, and I was like, they're all the same. It's the same thing. I wanted to tell something different. I wanted to tell the story about Jason's mom, that she grew up. There's no backstory to her after Ohio.
Right.
So I was
Right.
like, she grew up in Indianapolis. So Jason's going to go, because his mother's voice is rattling in his head, go find the house. He found a photograph and said, I'm going to go find my mother's parents. He makes it here, does his typical Jason destruction, trying to find the house, finds it, disappointed, and he goes back to Crystal Lake. And, it was a different way. It was a way of showing that, it had some emotion in it. It had the typical Jason horror in it, but I played with my Jason and did things that Jason never did in the films. I choked somebody out. I had a physical altercation and a grudge match fight with a professional wrestler that he encountered in the woods. Just I try to add something that I wanted to see in the films and bring Jason, back alive, tell a new story, a new curve to it. And now I've got another script that I'm working on for Jason Part 2, where he tries to go and find his father's family now, because we all know that Elias never had no play in the films, ever. Very few things have ever been mentioned about him. I got everything I needed from Victor Miller, and I got some things from some other writers, and I'm writing a script for it. So, like you said, when you have something somebody wants to see, and they're like, "Oh, this is new. What's this? Oh, that's interesting. Let's go check it out." Whether all my reviews, I've had 3 out of 79 comments. I've had 3 that were negative. Everything else was good, and I got a 7.9 on IMDb, which made me feel good.
Don't count the negative ones. I'll tell you that too, because it really makes you feel like you're not doing a good job. When you hear people say, take the compliments and run with it. Because when you hear people say there's nothing they can find in that movie to make another movie, they're not looking at the movie. They're not watching. I went through this with Ralph Macchio from Karate Kid. Ralph is a friend of mine. And so is Johnny, William Zabka. But the thing is, listen, they thought the Karate Kid was dead. So, you can't think like that. It was dead for that generation, but it doesn't mean that the new generation doesn't want to find out more about the Karate Kid. They want to learn, why were everybody talking about the Karate Kid in the 80s? Why? What was the reason? Because they added a better story to it, and they brought it back. They made it bigger franchise than whatever it was. Nobody ever expected that. Nobody. Not even the one that the first director that did the movie. So with that said, you don't know what gold you're typing into. You don't understand, and you may understand, but a lot of people don't. We interviewed Kane Hodder, and he was Jason in Friday the 13th. And I remember what he said. I think he said, when you tap into different aspects of each movie, you learn more from each character. What did you just say? You wanted to find out more about the mother? There was no storyline about it. There's a storyline right there, right for a movie. Let's talk about it. You can play into the Friday the 13th, but you want to talk about the mother. What significant role was she? What did she do with him? Did she treat him bad? Was she abusive? And the writers and you could go through them different storylines and say, well, this works better than this. This works better than that. And then just put it out there and see what happens. But again, you don't know what you're tapping into. You could be tapping into a whole nother universe. Killer cons everywhere.
Yep.
We met one of the ladies from Friday the 13th. I think she was the girl that was, she was the last one, the first one. And
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. I can't think of her name, but she's an amazing lady, and she has her own winery somewhere. But it's people like that love for you to resurface and hear about the characters that were in the movie. Grease, same thing. All the Grease characters We had them all on the station a while ago too. But even the Grease characters, they are so implemented with Grease that it's like it's embedded in them. So anything happens with what happened in Grease or outside of Grease, they're in there. They're there, and they want to be part of it. You know, and that's again another iconic thing of movies that people love to draw from. I love it too. You know, I love that too. I love when they bring back a lot of people, and the people that like I talk to or interview, just like you, they have the same ideas, but they don't have the funding. They don't have the ability. They don't have the time. They don't have any of the concepts. Well, we got that. And everybody has a gift. It's just that you don't know what your gift is until you see the other gift of the other person. And then you just put it all together. It's not hard to do.
No.
It's hard to get everybody together. I've gotten everybody together on a Zoom call for like 30 or 40 people on a Zoom call. Producers, directors, movie people, TV people, radio people, DJs, weathermen, authors, book authors, sports athletes, celebrities, and everybody. But the thing is, not everybody brings the same thing to the table. And we all want to find out what we can do to make a project, the project, or a project work. Can you help? Yeah, I have a friend that does this. I have a friend that does that. My other friend will do this. My other friend will do that. Sometimes they block you out. Sometimes they include you. It's a chance you take.
Yep.
I stopped doing it because they blocked me out. Everybody I got together there as a networking thing blocked me out and said, okay, we're going to do on our own. Okay, fine. Never had it anymore. So I didn't introduce them to other people that I was friends with that I knew that was in the movie industry or TV industry or radio industry that could help them even more. So who's the loser? They are.
Yep.
But they didn't see that.
That's like when I did mine. I wanted to try to find somebody that was from Friday the 13th and even it to be in my film. And I got lucky enough, one of my actresses knew an actress that was in Nightmare on Elm Street. She played Freddy Krueger's mom in Dream Child.
Oh, okay.
Beatrice Popel. So she played Pamela. And then later, I had reached out to all the Jasons, every single one of them. And I had worked with Kane Hodder before, and Kane was under a contract. He wasn't allowed to do fan films or non-budgeted films. He either had to show that he got paid to do it or that he got a contract to do it. And we didn't have any of that. So he gave me a name, and it was CJ Graham, which was in Jason Lives in part 5. So CJ came on and did a remote scene from his, I think he was at home. He did a remote scene as a camp survivor. And because I was playing Jason in the movie. So he was like, you want me to reprise my Jason role? I'm like, no, I want you to be a camp survivor. And in reality, you played Jason, you would be the ultimate camp survivor. And he goes, I can do that. And it came out pretty good. And I was happy with it. With Georgie, I almost had the young Mike Hanlon that was in the original television series. I almost had him.
Wow.
And he was like, I can do it for $250. And so I tried to raise that funding just to get that 3-minute remote scene of him that I wanted. And he ended up having to back out due to another project. So I was like, and I'd reached out to every actor from the old film and the new ones. And I thought I had the original Georgie at one time, that this was a humdinger. I had the same guy. I looked him up. I found some social media for him. I reached out. He wrote back, was like, I'll have to see what my contract with Warner Brothers says. I'm like, okay, get in touch with him. And he wrote me back a couple weeks later, says, my contract allows me to do that. I can do that. What do you need me to do? And so I told him that this is what you do. I gave it to him. He wrote it back. I posted his picture on an announcement, and a guy who actually knows the real Georgie just got done working with him not too long ago, wrote me privately and said, "Hey, my friend, that Dwight is not the Georgie that you're posting about. I think you got led down a scam road." He goes, "This is the real Georgie." He sent me a picture of him. He said, "The man that you have, while I know age plays a difference on every single man, you may be 70 and look 40, or you may be 40 and look 70. He goes, "I'm going to tell you for sure that that man is not the man who played Georgie.
Yeah.
I want to caution you that." So I went and pulled everything, and then I called the dude on the phone. He lives in Denmark, and I called him and I was like, "Hey man, was you in the 1990 television series Stephen King's It?" And he goes, "No." I'm like, "Now hold up. Why did you say when I messaged you that you was, and that you would have to check with Warner Brothers about your contract? Why did you say that to lead me down a road to sit back and not do more research?" I researched it. I came up to you. You're the only Dwight on the social media that I can find anywhere. And it had a whole bunch of Georgie stuff on all your pages. And you led me down the road saying you had to check your contract. Oh, I can do it. They said I can do it. And then my friend tells me, "You're not the real Georgie." And he said, "Oh, I thought it was something else for something else." And I'm like, all right. So there's issues when you go to cast and you don't have money and you don't have funding. And that's, when other people ask me, "How did you make this movie?" Voluntarily.
Yeah.
Everybody was a volunteer. And a lot
Yeah.
of my actors have never acted, which is what I kind of want. I want, if I had the money to get a veteran that knew how to do everything and change their emotions, I would. But when you have real people who have never once acted, and you tell them what you want when you get to the set, you're like, "All right, this is what I want," and they deliver it as if it's real life, that works out better for me. And that's what I kind of do. I put some of the non players in certain roles, and the people who does have acting skills and have been on theater and television, I put them in more dramatic dialogue roles, because I'm not going to be able to memorize a script to get on scene for 45 minutes and not have to look at a script. And I know that these people that's never read a script have, like my wife, she doesn't even understand how to read a script. And I've tried to show her through it, but she's like, "Yeah, it's kind of confusing." And I get that. It is confusing if you don't know how to read them. And so, I completely understand that role of, making sure you got your ducks in a row before you step out, and never be afraid to ask anybody. All you're going to get is told is, "Oh, I'm going to have to charge you," or they're going to tell you what they know.
Well, the film industry changes so much. More digital, 4D, 5D, HD, whatever it is, 8D. There's so many different ones right now that Netflix shoots, and unfortunately, you're not taking a lot of independent films. They're shooting their own. So that means that more of their lawyers, more of the people that are there are either going to be SAG actors or non-SAG actors. So for you to get your content up on Netflix, Hulu, or any of them distribution places, you got to have a distribution agent to do it, or it's never going to get seen. It's never going to get seen anywhere. It might get seen on YouTube. Some people do that, just throw it on YouTube and try to build around that. That's fine, but you're not going to, get the mass numbers that you really want to do to get people at least interested in your story, the storyline, and what it's all about. That I learned for just being in the movies. I played a psycho war veteran in that movie I was telling you about years ago, and the movie never was released. So my daughter got a little upset, and we all got upset, but a lot of the people in the movie have now died. And unfortunately, it'll never be released because it wasn't completely edited. We got a short copy, which is fine, but there's some semi-nudity, not really bad in it. But it was one of them movies that you learn a lot from. You see that what is involved in filming. You see how to film. You see where the locations are, dealing with the elements like wind, rain, outside, inside, bugs, lights, everything around you, generators. When there's no power, you have to bring your own generator. And I remember we filmed the one scene inside an old cable car that was we used it as a restaurant. And all we did was we used a generator outside and we made it have lights. We made it have electric and we used it and it was available. We went to McDonald's and bought all hamburgers and made it look like a diner with hamburgers. But it was one of them things that you utilize the elements around you to make what you're looking for in the movie. You use what you have. You know, I'm an old mechanic as well. So working on cars, if I didn't have the right tools, I made the tool. I had to make the tool and adapt the tool to make what I need it for. And that's how you learn different things with filmmaking. Do I need a longer boom? Do I need a shorter boom? Do I need a higher boom microphone? Do I need more lights? Do I need less lights? Do I need fill lights? Do I need lights above, lights below, or lights in the middle? And what your budget allows is what you use, right? And you learn from that. So when I say I learned a lot from films, I did, but I was also my own. I used to do wedding videos for people, so I edited that and did that for a few years, and then I got out of that. But once you learn these new experiences, you get the knowledge that you wouldn't have if you didn't do them. And that's most important. The knowledge of learning on how to run a radio station, how to run a film company, how to be a financial coach, how to be a musician, how to put background music in a movie, in a TV show. So it's not overcoming or overdubbed too loud. You don't want to shut out the voices, but you also want the music to be heard. So you need that special mix. You know, all these little things that you and I know, but other people don't. They don't understand all the intricate chemistry involved with all the people. Everybody's got to have chemistry. You could overdo it.
Complicated. It gets complicated.
It gets complicated, right?
Boy, but if you're like me being a filmmaker and a director, you know, Steven Spielberg's got a whole team. He just goes in there, does what he does, and gets out, and everybody else does the rest of it. With independent filmmakers, a lot of us, like me, everything is on your shoulders because I'm dabbling right now. I'm still learning. And as I do, I gain new people that come on and help out with things. And that's a beautiful thing. It helps me out. It takes a little weight off my shoulders here and there. And with that being said, you know, people really don't understand that, you know, when a writer writes a screen, like when you see a film on TV and it says a film by Johnny Blaze, you're sitting there going, okay, well, who's Johnny Blaze? And then you see Johnny Blaze was the director, he was the producer, he was the writer, he was part of the editing team, and you know, you're sitting going, before I dived in and learned what I've learned, I was like, that's a little egotistical. And now that I'm here, I'm sitting back going, no, now I understand. You had 9 hats on your head, and you deserve those 9 credits that you gave yourself in your film because you're doing 90% of the work. And
right.
It gets
right.
hard and stressful, but, you know, like you said, never give up. Keep going.
And I think that's the key here. You can never have too much knowledge in what you're doing. You have to learn every day. When I run a local studio, I understand green screen very little, but we have it, we use it, and if people come in, we work with them. We show them how to do it. We do audio books. That's something else that we've just started doing because, again, audio books are more popular than a lot of other things. And I always say this, if the person that actually wrote the book can actually be the one that tells the story, that's the person you want to tell the story, because they're the ones with the emotional feeling, the characteristic from them feeling what they wrote. And you hearing them put that out there, that's the most, it just feels good to see
It's
that.
authentic. It's authentic.
It's authentic, it's real, but they say, oh, have a professional read it. No, professional doesn't seem the same emotional in the words. You can see the emotions. As a DJ, I told people all the time too, if you smile when you talk, people will hear the smile through the radio and they have it because it just comes through. They hear it in a smile that you can see on your face, but they hear it. And it's important to always have that characteristic that you're going to do that. You have to always be in that constant understanding that people are listening, people are watching. Who's listening? Who's watching? Well, we may not know, but if the right people are watching and listening and understanding and wanting to know more and hearing more and sharing with others, that's how you grow.
True. Very true. So I want to ask this question of you, since you've been doing this for a long time, and you say you've distributed, you've done all that. You've pretty much had your hand in almost all types of things with radio and the filming industry now. What is, for someone like me, my son's building helping me build a app to drop onto Roku, Amazon, and the streaming devices. It's kind of like a Netflix app where it's our content. Do you think it's a wise idea, being in this industry, to have your own app on the streaming services, or to distribute it to someone else? It's like I can get Jason in Indianapolis on Tubi for a certain amount of money. And do you think it's wiser to distribute to a streaming service, or to develop your own channel and let everybody else have access to it?
Well, I've done both. So let me tell you the first. When I first did it, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't think I was going to get a lot of people, but I did have a lot of people watching it. Just be careful of when you do it, and if you go through somebody else doing it, make sure that you know all the situations and everything that they tell you you're going to get, you get, because they didn't give me everything. They told me they were going to give me more things I could advertise, which kind of, the salesman is different than the person that runs it. Salesman is the person that sits at the door and says, come in, this does everything. Oh, what does it do? Well, it does this, it does that. Okay, great, wonderful. You get in there and then you find out none of that stuff is extra. None of that stuff does anything. And he'll say, well, I don't know why they said that. So that's what they said. That's how they make their sales. They lie to make their sales. That's what a salesman does. That salesman does. I don't know all salesmen do. I'm not going to say that. But that's what the salesman does in that type of perspective, because they want more people on the app. And I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name places. I'm just going to say that I had twice 2 Roku channels. First Roku channel went everywhere and did really well, but it cost me a lot of money. It would be costing me probably another $1,000 a month if I was still there with them, because that's how big it was getting. Now, I couldn't sell ads, so I couldn't make any money, so it was just money out of my pocket going there. You have to understand, salesmen, that's what they do. So the second one, I told them exactly what happened. Oh, we get a lot of people from them. And again, another lie, okay? They didn't charge me for advertising, but they didn't show anything to advertisers. And then they charged me for bandwidth. So they kept the bandwidth low so nobody could see it. I said, well, wait a minute. That's not going to help me. I need people to see for exposure. I need more exposure. Well, we can't do that, because then we'll have to charge you more, just like the other company. So, see, there's nothing that you can do unless you build it yourself. Now, the problem with that is, when you build it yourself, where can you take it on a format where people are going to see it? Well, yeah, you can take it on social networks, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, places like that, but not everybody gets to see it. You want a broad-based network where everybody gets to see it. And now, unfortunately, you have to buy into somebody. I have another friend that told me if I bought into his network for a certain amount of money a month, I would be able to have unlimited channels. That means I can have any channel, and it would be on his network where there's a lot of people listening, a lot of people watching. And if we were involved in that, I would definitely do that. But you got to have a good cash and money flow coming in. So that's another thought of mine, because I was going to have a movie and TV program show on there, and also different channels for that. Creating movies, how do you do movies, tutorials on this, tutorials on that, computer programmer as well as that, health, working on cars, appliance repair, radio, and then TV, and then movies, and all different aspects. So when you ask me that question, it's a double-edged question. It's hard to answer because I was on both sides, and I see the difference. By going with somebody else that has already had an established network, you're just tapping into what they have, just like what I have. I have the radio, I have the listeners worldwide for 34 years, so they're there. They're not going anywhere. Most of them have listened 6 to 9 hours a day, or some, because it's Alexa or Google or all these other places. There's a lot of things that I could tell you about too, but I don't want to get into it. However, you have an established network, answers the question. But you got to have the money to be on the established network. So that's part of the problem. You can still establish one, but getting it out there is going to be the biggest thing.
That's what, when I Googled, how to build a Roku app or Amazon Fire app or any of those to go into the libraries, people just type in the search bar and type in Schmucker Productions, and the app would pop up. I was reading, and I found 4 companies that are legit, that those Roku and Amazon, everybody says this is who we partner with, this is who builds our apps. And so I was reading, and I'm looking through, and it's like you said, if you don't have that money each month, that's not worth it, because you'll pay that bottom fee. They'll build everything for you, give you a link to upload all the stuff you want to whenever you want to upload it, schedule it how you want to schedule it. And it's your app, it's your logo on the screen. So people tap in. Like I talked to Lloyd Kaufman from Troma, and he's got an app that just recently came out called Troma Now. It's on everywhere on streaming services. And so I've got it in my TV, and I went through it and was looking, and it's set up a little different than like Netflix. It's got a bunch of different menus, bunch of different little studios that he works with, and it's very nice. And I asked him, I said, how did you go about building your app? And he said, well, I went through this company, and same thing, he said he paid $500 and got the app built, and all he has to do is just send them what he wants, and they schedule it. So like almost every Friday at midnight, something new will pop up. He schedules it once a week. And so I was like, what is the monthly service fee to have for their service? So all your stuff is on their server. And he goes, that ranges from $45 to $300-$400, depends on what you have. And that's why I was asking you that. So
based on the content, the content storage is the big thing.
That's
the more stuff you have, the more expensive it is. And the more things you have coming out new, the more expensive it is.
So if my son can build that app, that's the better way to go about it, because you know what you're putting on, you know what you're getting out of it. And I would say that's probably right now the easiest way to go. At least get it out there, and then look for the content later. But that was my problem. I had a lot of people listening and watching. I have all the concerts from the 60s and 70s on there. I had all the Pink Floyd, Leonard Skinner, the Four Seasons,
Just so many great bands, REO Speedwagon, everything from the 60s and 70s, because there was no music app like that.
No.
So people were watching it in different countries, were loving it. They're saying, wow, we try to watch it on YouTube, but it's blocked. It's like, now we can watch it on your Roku because you're playing. And I said, great, tell others. And they did. So, again, it depends on the content, you know?
Yeah, it's, for someone like me who, like I said, we don't have a budget, we don't profit, we haven't been able to profit off anything, and we're moving into doing an original coming up, so hopefully that will gain us some exposure to be able to do profits and be able to make it. And same with my podcast. It streams on 5 different channels, and it's on Spotify, it's on iHeart, it's on Audible. Um, there's like 2, 3 other ones too, and then the video, like we are here, this streams on my YouTube channel, and it also is a video on Spotify. The only 2 places I can find it will stream it, the video. And while my YouTube does better than those stations do, I promote it, I push it, and I'm a 9 to 5 type guy, so I got a normal job. It's like you do, like everybody else does.
I'm retired, and I still work harder than anybody else I know.
That exactly, and it becomes a struggle when you get to a certain level. Like my movie Jason came out 10 months ago, and it's got almost 3,000 views. Now, while that's good for my very first movie ever, in a 10-month gap, I'm happy. Every time I see that number change after a couple weeks, I see 20 more people. I get a smile on my face. I get excited, and I want to take that movie because I can't put it on no stations. I can't put it on Netflix. I can't put it on Hulu. The only places I've found that I can put it is on Tubi. And I have tried everything under the sun to get it into Tubi. There's a thing called Film Hub or Film Highway or something like that, where you can go in, make your profile, upload your content, and when you upload it, they want everything, dude. They want the music, lyrics to be in the closed captions, and I did all that. And when I submitted it, every time we've corrected it, it keeps coming back. Oh, this doesn't match up to this timeline. That doesn't match up to this timeline. And so we abandoned that. We just dropped it because we've tried 20 different times, and unless I want to pay $350 to that company to take my film, put it into their program and algorithm, and create their own closed captions for everything, it'll never get on Tubi. And so that's why I was asking you that question about, is it better to go through a distributing company? Is it better to if you can create your own and get it pushed out there? Because like with, you got a radio station and you have a film company and you've been in this for 30 years and you're well established. And like you said, you're friends with Ralph Macchio. I mean, come on. I'm friends with a few people that I can't pick up the phone and just call them when I want. But,
well, I can't either anymore, but yeah, okay.
But I mean, if you've seen them on the street, they'd be like, hey, how you doing? And it's hard for us like that. And that's why I wanted to be able to, talk with you, because when you reached out to me through our mutual friend, who I'll be interviewing here.
Yeah, let's mention him. Give him a shout out. He's a good friend of mine. Don Manningly, great from Boathouse Productions. Yes. Thank you, Don.
Yes, thank you, Don. We'll be having him on the show in season 2. So when people are out here working and they're doing what I'm trying to do and what you have successfully done, what's the best advice you can give somebody that wants to get in either radio or into film, what do you have to say to somebody that says, I want to do this? What do I need to do? What would you tell them?
First thing you got to have is something unique. You have to stand out above everybody else. You have to be the kind of person that people are going to want to hear or see, whatever content it is. It's got to be, it's so competitive out there now. It's even worse than when I started in the early 90s, just in music, on the radio. There was only a few stations around, maybe just a few thousand of us. And now there's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of us. To make it in this industry alone and stick and just be as good as you can be, never give up. But there is a time when you have to say, listen, it's not working. Let me try something different. Let me try something new. Just like when you get, and I don't want to allude to this, but when you get financial problems and you have, how did I get here? Well, you know how you got there. You just kept spending money. And I understand why. Car breaks down, appliances break down, you got a house to take care of, you got kids to take care of, you got a wife to take care of, you got your medicines and doctor's bills and all. Listen, I understand how it happens. It's just that there's got to be a way to find the solution to stop bleeding. Because when you're financially gone, you don't have any money anymore. The bleeding was so bad that you don't have no blood no more. You're done. That's what money is. You don't have no blood. So it goes the same way in the movie industry, radio industry, TV industry, and the whole media industry. The longer you stay in here, the more integrity you have, the more honesty you have with other people. Hey, I made it through this. I'm going to make it through that. I'm going to make it through this. I know, we only have a little bit of money, but we're going to make it work. Somehow, some way, we're going to stay here and make it work. And that's the whole thing. Never give up, but know when you got to get defeated. It's a hard decision. It's a hard decision. Just be as unique as possible. I'll put it in perspective. Be as unique as possible so you stand out in front of everybody. That's the only thing I could say. Even my music, I do the same thing with my music. I try to be as unique as possible and try to give the vibe of what I want to give, whether it's Friday the 13th or whatever it is, comedy or whatever. I try to give that vibe to people that they liked and they wanted to hear and they wanted to see. And then once you give them that vibe and they like it, they will like whatever you're doing. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's kind of that's what I was told when I reached out to a filmmaker and said, hey, I want to make my first movie. And he was like, I'll send you an email. And he sent me an email and gave me a nice long list and said, you need to have everything up to 10 before you start doing 11 and 12. He says, make sure you got all that before you do anything. And I wanted everybody else to hear from someone who's been around doing this for years. And because I tell that to everybody when someone, how'd you get started? Hey, well, I'm different than what most people do, but you always got to have a bottom line and you got to have something that people's going to be like, hey, oh, this is different. Let me go check this out. So that's, I appreciate that that answer, because that is definitely what it is. You got to stand out, make people want to look at you and see what you're doing. Because if you're the same thing that was on at 8 o'clock, nobody wants to watch you at 9. They're going to flip the channel, go to something because they just got done watching that.
And there you go. Yep. The thing is to cater to them. And when I say cater to them, I mean, if you're a restaurant, they're your customers. They're your clients. They're your friends. They're your family. But they're also people that like what you're saying or doing or being part of. And you want them to like that. And you want them to like it more and more and more. and you want them to tell others. You know, there's an old saying, if you tell others, others will follow. They're curious. They're the tire kickers. You know, they're the ones that want to see the new cars in the showroom, but they want to see other cars too. They're curious.
That's true.
Curiosity draws them in, and then once whatever it is you're selling, product, service, or whatever it is something that they're looking for, and you fit that target audience, then you got what you got. Because years ago when I started the station out, I used to do all day requests. I don't know any radio station in the country, in the world that does that, ever. Be unique. Give them up to 10 requests a day. I do that too. Give them tributes. I do that too. Have them be DJ for a day. I do that too. Give them birthday days. I do that too. Give them mini rock concerts. Give them mini whatever you want to do. I do that too. See, it's a combination of many different things to work together to get the different people at different aspects and different families. And because we're family friendly, and we've always been family friendly, however, we had a comedy channel years ago. We had another channel, was called Channel 2, for the live people in the audience and live people in the studio, and also comedy. The comedians were really raw and very nasty, but they had their own channel. They didn't offend the family friendly people. So you have an ability to do that. That'll also separate you.
So is there anything else you'd like to tell our viewers about Hamilton Radio or Iron Horse Films, or any advice you want to give out?
I'm a local businessman, and I would love to work with local businesses. And local businesses doesn't mean local business to me, Hamilton, Trenton, New Jersey. It means local business anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world. Local businesses are people that shop at your places and locations and visit your stores and your communities and different things. I want to work with people like that understand the struggle. I understand the struggle you're going through. I want you to understand I'm going through the same kind of struggle. I got to get people in there to do productions. I got to get people in there to do voiceovers. I got to get people in there to do audiobooks. I got to get people in there to do green screen. I got people in there that want to just do small films and just want to do the student run films. They can do that with us. We're very, very competitive as far as pricing. We're not overpriced. We're not in Philadelphia, which is really great. You know, it's not a bad traffic area, not a bad crime area. We're not in New York. You don't have to take the subway or the train there. We're located right in the middle of New Jersey. So anybody's interested, we're there. And you can reach out to me on hamiltonradio.net. My email is on there. You can request music. I have my own music playing up there, and my music is on like 8 different radio stations, including 2 FM radio stations that are playing it. And I appreciate everybody, all businesses. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be a pizza pie place. It could be an automotive technician or auto care place. I've been in every aspect of every business in every which way, whether I've been an automotive technician or an IT guy, and I said a financial coach, motivational coach. I've done it all, and I will do it all. I'm still doing more stuff. And as long as I have breath in my lungs, people can always reach out to me for advice, understanding about movies. If you got a project they want to get funded, they got movies they want to ask me a question about, TV shows they want to ask me a question about, streaming, I'm good for all that. And I appreciate anybody that contacts me through my email at any time. I just say be patient, because I get thousands of requests a day. Now, this radio station was established in the early 90s, and we've been together almost 34 years, me and the radio station. And Iron Horse Films about 12 years. And yeah, it's been a great marriage between both of us. We work off each other. We play off each other's energy. but we also bring a lot to the game what a lot of people don't. And again, the trust, the integrity, the honesty, the working together, the local communities and other people, that's what makes us different. There's not a lot of red tape, and we have no problem working with anybody. In fact, to even give you more information, when I was an automotive technician, I worked for New Jersey State Police. So everybody in the FBI, CIA, DOD, FEMA, all the different organizations know me. They know who I am. They know my name. They know all about me. So that's it. You're muted, Sam.
I said that's good stuff right there. I want to say thank you for coming on here and giving us some enlightenment on what you do and your companies. And I encourage everybody that has a project or needs advice, has any questions, to reach out to Gene. I'll make sure that his website and his email are listed below. They'll be right down there. You guys can copy and paste those in your browser and be able to get in touch with him. You can reach out to me if you have any questions about anything, and if I can't help, I'll send you to Gene too.
Thank you very much for that.
Oh, of course. And hopefully we'll hear sometime in season 2. I'll get you back on. We'll talk some other stuff, something different this time, because you got a lot to talk about and a lot of things that I would like to dive into a little bit more.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me be here.
I appreciate it. Guys, if you want to get in touch or talk with Gene, just hit the website that's going to be listed below, and there'll be an email as well. I'll also put them in the comments so you can access them and copy and paste. Please share and like, and give him a shout out. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you very much.
Production.